recording now.
Cool. All right. Coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. Hey, I am back from vacation. I know you missed us last week because we weren't here, but now we're
Oh
back.
yeah.
Pablo, we're back. This is week 8.
I know.
Pretty amazing, isn't it? Pretty
We're
amazing.
really almost at that split.
So, as always, my name is Todd Bailey, and the guy to my right over here, there is Pablo Bailey, my producer. What's up, Pablo?
Absolutely not much. Got a little shave going because of a Halloween thing, and I feel naked. So that's it.
Yeah, I totally forgot Halloween's in 2 days. I'm not prepared for that. So
Yeah.
I'm
Mhm.
not in the Halloween spirit quite yet, but
I had a nice little mustache, like a little pencil or like thin mustache, not penciled because it was an actual mustache, but got rid of that as soon as I was finished with the costume.
you walk around like this kind of thing. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Right.
Hey, we got to get into this. So after week 8, let's talk about some of the EFFL first half playoff scenarios we have going on. This is the final week of the first half of the EFFL. AI is still doing well. We'll dig into that a little bit. Some of the observations that we have over week 8. And then, as always, our games of the week. So hang on for a second. We'll be right back and we'll go through all that stuff just for you. I ain't getting water. Oh, well.
All right.
Okay, so we are back. And quickly, Paul, this is the last week coming up of the first half.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe it's almost over already.
Time flies, right?
Is it going well for you?
Okay, kind of. Once in a while, a little bit. I'm in a playoff hunt for a few leagues here, but
Okay.
I always feel kind of strange if I win my own league. So I'm totally okay if I don't win anything.
Yep.
This
Yeah, going.
AI thing is doing well though. That's kind of surprising. So we'll go into that a little bit too. But
Yeah,
so how
going
you
into the.
doing in your leagues?
Yeah. It's going pretty good. At least for what I expected it to be. It's not like I am actually winning in a private league right now, which is exciting. But like I said before, the competition in that private league is not nearly as tight as the competition from our like sponsored league that I'm in for the Tabby League.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very much, it's fun, but I know with a grain of salt that that same exact team, those same lineups most weeks are not performing as well in a more tough, matchup environment. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so I try to remind myself with a grain of salt that this is like the first season I'm getting into it, and that I'm trying to figure out the flow of everything to take advantage of it well,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's starting to do pretty well. These last 2 weeks in particular, I've done well in the Tabby League and both leagues. So I'm glad that things have been shaping up a little bit for me at the end of the season because it was starting to go a little downhill quickly. So I had to stop that. I'm glad I did.
Well, it is a learning curve, and not that people who are rookies can't do well. Because last year, I'm not doing it. Won the league for the first time being in the league, so it's
Right.
possible. But it does take a few weeks to get used to the matchups and what you commented on a little bit before going on air, and we'll discuss this also in a little bit. But there's a little bit of strategy, and people have tried to play the hot players early on and ride the wave. People have held on to the hot players and hopefully can, weather the storm in the beginning. Some
Right.
people, you mentioned getting the matchup, so we'll get into get all that going on in a little bit. But yeah, it is coming to an end. And as we've always said, that this is the first season where we have 2 halves, weeks 1 through 9 and weeks 10 to 18. So
Yeah.
whoever, if you are in a league with 4 or more teams, then top two teams of each half go to the championship game. And so we'll get into some of those, and we'll Like, let's do it right now, Paul. Let's just get into this and go through
Oh
some of
yeah,
these leagues very quickly and get some shout outs, some of the
yeah,
top
quick
teams,
little
and some scenarios going on.
right little league update here.
Yeah,
How's
let's
it
do
going?
that. Yeah. So we don't really talk about the private leagues very much on this podcast because it's private leagues. But so we usually cover just the sponsored leagues and then the platinum league. But let's kind of go a little bit deeper in some of these private leagues just so we can kind of get an idea. There is a league called the Big Ballers, and the Big Ballers has 4 teams in it, currently being led by the Vero Warriors down there in Florida. They currently have 15 wins for the season and in first place. Second place is Any Given Sunday at 14 and Russian Roulette with 12. So in that league, you get 3 wins. If you win the whole thing a week, then you get 3 wins. So if Vero Warriors gets one win, they are guaranteed a spot in the playoffs.
Right, man, that's a tight little competition right there.
Yeah. If they don't do well and Russian Roulette can get 3, then they might be able to sneak in there. I think it's some tiebreakers and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how that goes. But shout out to Vero Warriors down there in Florida. The Bailey Crown, near and dear to our hearts, right? Because we're both in it. We're both in this one, and it's an 8-team league. It's an 8-team private league, so 7 wins for the winning team, and Lions never win. I keep telling Justin, we got to change that name because that's he keeps thinking that if he changes it, it's going to give him bad luck. So Lions.
Oh, right. You can't change it now, right?
Yeah, you ride the wave, I guess, right? But Lions never win. Currently has 39 wins to be pacing the league, followed by Laughlin Lions out there in Laughlin, Nevada, with 34 wins. So the Lions never win at 39. They have a 5-win lead over Laughlin Lions. They just need 2 wins to lock up a playoff point. After that, there are Laughlin Lions, Denver Dogs, Michigan Champion, Minnie Mouse Magic, and Hell's Bales, who are all in the mix. So if things go awry, there's still some things could happen.
Man, I wonder if Hell's Bales is a reference to Hell's Bells, which is like a very nerdy thing. I don't think it is, but it might be.
It is. It's that is Justin. No, that's Jake. I think it's Jake. No. It's who got it? All those Jay Baileys. Get them all confused.
right.
Jordan, Jack, Justin, and Jake Bailey out there. So
hard to remember their team names too, and correspondence.
It is kind of confusing. Actually, I do think Hales Bales is Justin because he's a firefighter up in Las Vegas. But anyways, so gotcha. Lions never win. Just need 2 wins. Other than that, the next 5 teams are kind of up for a mix. So there could be some fun things happening there. Powell's Pub. Shout out to Powell's Pub in beautiful Ypsilanti, Michigan, out there on the EMU campus. They have a 5-team league, and there's 2 playoff spots for there. And I'm still not doing it. He changed his name from I'm not doing it to I'm still not doing it. Is currently pacing this. So shout out to Ryan. He has 26 wins. Los Leones, I think I mean Spanish for the Lions. They're at 22 wins. And then there's myself, my team, Beetle Bailey at 19. So I'm still not doing it. You only need 1 win to lock up that playoff spot. And Los Leones only needs 2 wins to lock up their playoff spot. So I'm probably not going to make the playoffs in the Powell's Pub League.
But you might. Next
half. I might this week if stuff happens, but probably not. But hey, I always got half 2 to look at, right?
Right. So, exactly.
I'm actually in a private head-to-head league with James Ranger. So my Iron Butts and his Put Up or Shut Up both have won 4 games in the first 8 weeks. So we are dead nuts tie. So whoever wins this week wins the first half and gets that spot. Now again, on a 2 or 3 person league, we don't have. It's only 1 team per half that goes. And when you get to a 2-person league, if 1 team wins both halves, then they win. And if one wins one the other, then it goes into the championship game. So we'll see how all that goes. But currently, James Ranger and I are tied at 4 games apiece.
That's that head-to-head private league thing that we've talked about before. I think it's such a cool.
I think so too.
I think it's just like a really cool thing in practice, like when it actually comes out in practice. Like I think it just feels really cool.
Yeah, I want to see more of those next season. So looking forward to. Our exponents, these are leagues teams that we met at the Fantasy Football Expo. Already have the teams locked in. So Blissful Football is pacing it at 25 wins, and my team, Bailey's Beatles, are second with 23. So both of us have our spots locked in for the playoffs.
Nice.
Speaking of Blissful Football, which is our buddy Joe Bliss, who's been on this show many, many times. He has his own private league, and he has 5 teams in it. So 4 teams get to go to the playoffs. Sorry, 4 wins, 2 playoff spots, being led by Fantasy Football Nerd, who is a brand new team out there with 19 wins. And then one of our longtime champions, 1004 and counting, is at 18. Mud Falcons and OG Milkbone follow there. So Fantasy Football Nerd just needs 2 wins to lock up a spot, and 1004 and counting need 3 wins.
Wow.
Lock up the spot. So there's still a chance for Mud Falcons and OG Milkbone, but it looks like you got the new guy is going to be in the playoffs, which is great. I love seeing newbies do well.
Oh yeah, love that.
Yeah, it's really cool. And this is another kind of newbie. He played once, first time last year. It's in the 1-2-3 sponsored, sponsored league, Florida Wahoo, which is the same guy who owns Vero Warriors. He's leading the league with 83 wins, and he only needs 3 wins to lock in a spot. And there are 13 wins to be found in this league. So odds are he's sitting pretty good there. And second place is 1004 and counting, and they're at 72 wins. So they need 13 wins. So they need to lock it out. They need 13 wins. There's the AI Asinine Idiots. They are third with 71.
Man.
So if the Asinine Idiots can outwin the 1004 and counting by 2 wins, odds are they will be in the playoffs.
Right, as the second place person for playoffs.
Yeah, so
nice.
That's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting. It's cool talking about playoffs in this realm at week 9. In the traditional league, you got a few more weeks to go before you even discuss playoffs. But now we're discussing it here, which is a nice little addition to it. So looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, it's exciting, and it's nice too for those people who did have like a hot start to their season to not have to kind of worry about like, oh, maybe I can make it last out, and have to like then, if it goes wrong, unfortunately, you missed out on your chance even though you were looking good. Like now, all right, you got through the first 9, you secured your spot. Now the pressure's off. You can kind of enjoy it, figure it out, learn what you want to do, and then by the time that the playoffs come through, the championship comes through, you just gotta work it in, bring it home.
Yep. And if you are the team that's in the playoffs in both halves, you get your money back for entry for that league, not counting the potential for prize money.
Nice, yeah, because you can't be in the playoffs twice. So Correct. Somebody, essentially the third person, would get the playoff spot for that particular 9-week half.
Yeah,
and then you get your money back, which is awesome.
Yep. So pretty cool there. Moving on to another buddy of ours who's been here on radio a few times with a podcast with us, is Scott Kramer. Kramer's Couch Coaching. It's always kind of hard to say that one. Kramer's Couch Coaching. It has a 4-team league and 1 playoff spot. And I won't say the name of my team, but it's my team. I need 1 win to lock it up this week. If I don't get 1 win, I'm going to be in trouble. So put me in, coach, and Booze Bandit do have a slight opportunity to get in the playoffs. They're fighting amongst each other, so we'll see how that goes. But my team, fortunately, gets in the playoffs for that. So.
Oh, yeah.
And we got 2 more leagues that I have here, and that's the Platinum League, which is our big money $100 league. We have 11 teams in that one, giving you possibility of 10 wins per week, 2 playoff spots. 1004 and counting is at 54 wins, closely followed by our buddy Joe Bliss here with Between Angels and Insects at 53. So a 1-game separation there. Yeah, that's pretty close. So next places are DJ Dubs, Rock Range Rolls, Mud Falcons, Michigan Ringer, Beetle Bailey, and OG Milkbone are down there. Still kind of in the mix, but they need a lot of help. So 1004 needs 7 wins, and Between Angels and Insects needs 8 wins. Lock up the spot.
Man.
If they have a bad week, somebody down below could leapfrog in there. So
Definitely.
Yeah. And then our last league we have here is the Tabby Entertainment League, where there's 20 teams in that league offering a possibility of 19 wins. So a lot can happen here. There are a lot of teams that are still in the mix. But the leading team is K-Box Crushers, and her name is Candace out there in the beautiful state of Illinois at 118 wins. She needs 9 wins to lock up that spot. And then followed by a myriad of teams. There's 2, 4, 6, 8. I think there's 12 teams there that are still in the mix. Second place is 1004 and counting with 108.
Okay, so, not bad.
Yeah. And then you were saying that you are in you're winning your private league, right?
Yep. Yeah. In my private league, I know that there are like 3 people who are pretty tight for first, second, and third. And I know that I'm currently in the lead, I think by 2 points. Let me check it out. League standings right now. I'm going to see just cause I got it right here. So yeah, it looks like I'm in the lead by 5 points right now going into it, and it is a 8-person league. So pretty good chance to lock it in here. Okay. We'll see.
Nice. Good job. That's awesome, man. So, those newbies, right? You're a newbie, but you're like an experienced newbie because you're hearing all this podcast every week. So you're hearing all this wonderful advice that be given to you, right?
Exactly. And I think that this is a league pretty much full of newbies. So it's a very fresh league.
That is true. That is true. So let's just talk a little bit about what happens next Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
So next Tuesday, week 9 is over. So now we're going to be moving into week 10. So next week, what happens then? Do you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, what happens right then is that we get our 2 playoff chosen players. Our 2 players who are going to the playoffs are going to be chosen for it, and they're officially decided. So if you've won first and second, you're being carried into it. And if you haven't won first and second, then you're going to, well, actually, even those people who won first and second, every single person who's in that league is going to be carried over to the second half where all of the scores reset back down to 0. And then all of your player choices also reset so that you can pick any player that you've picked already one more time for the rest of the season.
Exactly. Isn't that cool? So everything is back to square one. The people who are in the playoffs, that's awesome. And good job with you guys. But now all the scores, all the stats, all the player usages, everything is back to square one. So whoever you burned in week 1, you've been kind of wanting to use again. Well, now you can use them starting in weeks 10 through 18. So we're getting fun time.
Additionally, if somebody isn't in the season yet, like I had somebody who joined our private league pretty lately in the season, but I think he's going to be a ringer for the second half, and I feel that he has a really good chance to make it into the playoffs. And it's not because he is somebody really good; it's because the way that this reset works is even ground again. And so anybody coming in, anybody joining, if you have a friend or somebody who wants to join, anybody coming in is going to have equal chance for the second half to make it to playoffs, and then ultimately get the trophy, or just get the prize money if there's no trophy based on how many people are in your league.
Yeah, that's very true. So as we have said before, and that Kai and Paul just mentioned here now, is even if you didn't play in the first half in weeks 1 through 9, or even only a partial of the weeks 1 through 9, you can still jump in week 10 and go through 10 to 18, win that, go to the playoffs, and win it all. So if you are thinking or have thought about or ever wanted to join Extreme FFL and get into our leagues, you can do that up until week 10, and you can still potentially win all the money, the whole kit and caboodle.
And just in case anyone else wanted to do this, you could also start another league. So like if you were in a private league and you wanted to join the Tabby League for the second half of the season, you could do that. Or if you're feeling really good and you're like, all right, 104 and counting, we've been doing good. Let's start another private, or let's start another platinum league team. You could jump into the higher money leagues.
You
I think
can't.
that he's already in it, so that wouldn't necessarily make sense for him to do it. But somebody else could jump into the platinum leagues,
Yeah.
and absolutely enjoy that for the second half of the season with the full chance to win.
And I've always said that I will challenge anybody. So if anybody wants to play me in the head-to-head for a whole new league in weeks 10 to 18, let me know. Again, I'm only kind of average, so I'm not like I'm a ringer. So if you want to jump on in and challenge me, I'd be happy to do it. So that's
I
pretty cool.
might take you up on that, and we're gonna make it a little like podcast rule here going on.
We could do that. We could do that. Okay. Yeah, and maybe I might even add AI into one of my leagues and see how they do head-to-head against somebody.
That'd be good. Right.
Anybody wants to play an AI, let me know. I will create a private league just for whoever it is versus the AI selections.
Right.
That pretty cool?
Always an opportunity.
Yeah, it'd be kind of fun. So it's all pretty exciting. Looking forward to week 10, everything get reset and moving on to the second half and then to the playoffs. I guess let's clarify this, Paul. We had a little bit of a vernacular issue going on here. It's not really a playoffs. It's a championship game.
Right.
So we used to, back years ago, had a 2-week, week 19 teams to play. The winners would go on to week 20. So we actually did have a legit playoffs. Now we just have a championship game, probably at this point informally called the Extreme Bowl. That might change going forward. So now if you are in the playoffs or in the championship game, it is a 2-week, week 19 and week 20 scenario.
Yeah.
And of course, all the players that you have used in the regular season are all then reset again, and you only get a chance to use anybody just one time in those 2 weeks for the final game.
Exactly. Yeah. So the format of this, the reason we call it a playoffs is because, or the reason that we had called it this and this vernacular issue had arisen is because there are 4 teams who are going to be inside of this. So, you have the 2 people who were in the first half of the season and the 2 winners who are in the second half of the season, and they duke it out against each other. They are the only people who are involved in those playoffs, or in the championship games is what we can call it now, or championship game. And so that sort of a thing it's an opportunity here, but that's the reason that this whole thing had arisen in the first place.
Yep. So, and then going forward, we'll have it called the Extreme Bowl and use that terminology. So anyways, we're getting kind of cool times. Looking forward to that. Speaking of AI, let's chat briefly about this, how AI has been doing.
They've been kicking some butt out there.
Like I said earlier, they are in 3rd place currently in the 1-2-3 Go sponsored league. So get a little applause for them there.
Oh, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to applaud the AI, but if they get it.
Hey, they're doing pretty well. They're doing better than I am. That's for dang sure. So, so they're doing a really good job. They're currently had 71 points overall for that league. So that's 3rd. But interestingly, on the picks, on the actual NFL picks. Now, I'm not betting these things. I probably should by now because I think the sample size is getting to the point now where it's actually looking pretty good. They were 12 out of 15 wins. I supposed to be 16, but I forgot there was another team. And what's funny is I didn't pick the AI for the Chicago or Washington game. And then I realized that, and I thought, oh, that's a heck of a game to not have AI choose. So I apologize. So AI was on the money line 12 out of 15. And for the season, they're at 65.3% on money line.
That's good.
And that's just picking who's going to win. That doesn't, point spread did not go into play. So 65%.
Before half of it, because we're just about halfway through the season, and before halfway through the season, putting it at 65%, let's say the trend has been going up. I want to say it's about 2% the last couple of weeks.
It's been creeping up, yeah.
So if it goes up at that steady increase, which, who knows if that's going to be the case, but let's assume it is, then that puts it at 67%, which, according to our expert that we had on here, that's pretty good. And by expert, I mean, one of our local resident fantasy football
Joe.
Yeah.
Joe.
But yeah, he said that 60 to 70%. We've thrown that number
Right.
out there, and if AI can get over that, that'd be real interesting to know if they can get past that by the time that week, 9, 10. At the end of the season, if they're sitting above 70%,
Yeah.
I'll be damn impressed. And it might
Yeah.
just be a fluke season, but damn, that's good.
Which means next year I'm going to be betting a lot of bettings.
Right, right.
Now they are a little bit careless on the spread, and
Okay.
it was kind of funny because I pass on these numbers to Joe. But for instance, they had the Lions winning by 22 points. Well, that covered, so the Lions did cover that. They had the Denver Broncos beating Carolina by 29 points. Now, there's not many games where the spread is 29 points.
No, yeah, that's a pretty
Um,
good one.
but they have other one that was 16 points, 14 points, 11, 11. There's a 13, a 15 over the past couple of weeks. So they are actually out there predicting some blowouts, which is not boding well for them. They only got 5 out of 15 against the spread this week.
Gotcha.
And year to date, they're 43.8.
In the spread.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that it seems like the AI, or maybe I guess it's not so much the AI, but I guess it's probably more so much of an agent of like the environment of NFL, right? Where we have unpredictability within the range of what you think you're going to get, even though with like the general win loss, that could be a little bit more predictable. Where like, the range of how many points any team is going to get is very hard to predict inside of NFL.
Yeah. It is hard. And I believe the stat was roughly 75, 80% of the NFL games are decided by one possession. So you're
Man,
not going to get, much more than 8 at any given point. So to have a 29-point spread out there is like, okay, I probably would have taken Carolina and 29, which Carolina was only 14 down. So
right. At one possession, that makes a big difference. That could be the Chiefs throwing that Hail Mary at the very end,
the Commanders.
Sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
Commanders, yeah.
Commanders. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And we will get into that. In fact, we're going to go ahead and roll in there. Why don't you go ahead and play us a little bit of that NFL music you got for us?
Shoo, yeah, I'll go right into it.
There we go. Yeah. So let's just talk about some of the week 8 observations that we have. And I'm going to touch on the first one here. I'll take the lead with the Hail Mary.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, those of us who've been around for a long time have seen some Hail Marys that are pretty famous. Doug Flutie back in the 80s with Miami versus Boston College. And then you get into Aaron Rodgers had quite a few in his career. He had one even this year already. Michigan had one against them versus Colorado. And famously, last week, Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels throws a ball 65 yards in the air, and it's caught in the end zone with the tip throw. Now, my question that I have, a couple weeks ago, the Lions were up against a team. I forgot who it was, maybe Minnesota, who had a chance to do a Hail Mary. And the Lions rushed 5 and didn't get the guy a chance to get the ball off and sack him.
Right.
Okay. Why? My question to all of us out there who know defense, why the heck do you even allow the ball to be thrown? It takes how many seconds for a top-notch receiver to run from 65 yards down to the end zone? 6 seconds?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, right? So why not get a little more pressure on that quarterback? Jaden Daniels ran to his right, probably ate lunch, turned to his left, ran around again, tied his shoe, chucks the ball 65 yards. And in the meantime, there's a guy for the Bears. As the play is happening, play is going, he's taunting the Washington fans, kind of thing like that, right? Well,
right.
He was the guy who tipped the ball that got caught by the Washington Commander, Noah Brown. So my question is, why the heck do we even allow the quarterbacks that much time to have that possibility? Why don't we rush 5 or rush 6 and make that pressure? Don't give them a chance to do that. I don't know why. Help me out.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, just to lean a little bit more in your direction here. Statistically speaking, it's not even 3 seconds that a quarterback has in the pocket on
Right.
average. It's not even reaching the 3 second point. So, like, if you're a quarterback and you're doing quarterback training drills, you're taught to get rid of it by 3 seconds because on the average play, you're not
Right.
getting that time. So if you're required to get that 6 seconds to get down the field, then I understand exactly what your point is right here to be like, why would you permit them the opportunity to even throw a Hail Mary to get down the field? Now, on the flip side, you have to then consider the option of like, all right, what is the likelihood if you were to rush one player? What's the likelihood if you were to rush three? What's the likelihood if you were to rush five? What's the likelihood if you were to blitz a couple of your linebackers and with it? So when you're doing this sort of a thing, you have to consider essentially over the back shots because if another person gets a little fade over the shoulder and then just quickly there's only one defender in the way, and if they're in front of them, then it's not even a chance, regardless of if it's a 20-yard gain or a 60-yard gain. After they get past that last defender, it doesn't matter, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so I think that that's the big thing. I've had it happen to me in Madden a million times when you when you blitz on a play you shouldn't blitz, and then all of a sudden they just throw it over and it's a touchdown because there's no safety back for them or there's no back line. And so I think the major worry is that when the quarterback gets rid of the yards, even if it only gotten to the 2 seconds in, right? Like let's say it's 2 seconds in, and then instead of getting 60 yards, they've gotten 20 yards. If they get that 20 yards and they get past your defenders and you have
Mhm.
no one back there, then it doesn't matter how much time that they did or didn't have
Right.
because you didn't have a way to stop them. So um, I imagine that people under like coaches under pressure of looking like fools for sending
Yeah.
people in on those situations are too scared to pull that trigger. When I think that like it's at least putting four down, like at least putting your four linemen to try to do something. At least they're one blitzer with them. Just put one person to blitz it in and
Yeah.
pressure that line because like if you don't like those poor lineman plays, I've seen them made fun of on so many things now where you see one defensive lineman who is just fighting his way against five linemen. There's no chance. They have no chance. But they're sitting there with the most disrespect on their faces. They like try to push their way through. They
And they're
never
300 pounds, so they're tired, right? Running around for 6 seconds.
at
Yeah.
this point the game's almost over, and
Yeah.
and yeah, so at that point, like, what's the point of even having them on the field? Just put an entire lineup of like cornerbacks. Like, don't even worry about like throw your second and third string cornerbacks in there, put them at the line, and then just have them back up on the as soon as the play starts. Because what does it matter?
You can even put your receivers out there as defenders,
Right? Yeah.
people who can catch the ball.
Tyreek Hill, he might be the thing that the Miami Dolphins need to make that difference.
Put Tyreek Hill as a DB on any kind of a Hail Mary thing, right? I don't
Exactly.
know. I just when I watched this, I think that Chicago, I think that they rushed three, but only two kind of penetrated, one kind of like a spy. So
Right.
you're dropping eight, which okay, you're dropping eight. There's five linemen and a quarterback's at six, so they only have five possible receivers downfield. So it's five versus eight. I know,
Mhm.
and that's why Hail Mary rarely works. I don't know the percentages that it works, but it's not very often. But when it
Right.
does, it's decimating, right?
So the impact of it, right?
It's
That's
huge, and
game
it's like,
winning. Yeah.
man, I just don't. I just if I was when what happened here in Michigan when Cordell Stewart, I forgot who it was. Cordell Stewart threw the ball almost 70 yards in the air into the end zone in Michigan Stadium here. I
Mhm.
watched that game live, and I was just like, "What the hell? What the hell? Why? Why even letting? Why rush three? I just to me it doesn't make any sense." So
Yeah. It's real interesting with Hail Marys. It's real interesting. People will know too, like if you're on defense, you don't hit the ball up in that
no,
scenario. Like no matter what you do, you don't hit that ball upwards. You hit that ball any other direction.
right?
Like,
Yeah,
and it's just oh man, yeah, it's a tough call at that point. To me, it seems like something that you mentioned earlier was that there were mistakes made likely on the team before that last play of the game. Like it's not like the Commanders had just had a fully dominant game and they just like did this Hail Mary and won it. Like they were the Commanders, Jaden Daniels probably knew this better than anyone, are literally holding on to a hope at this point. Like and they're
right.
making sure not to let go of it the same way that, if you have a team that knows that they can get a field goal to win at the end of the game, it's not like they're playing to get a touchdown. They're playing for their condition of winning, which is going to be a field goal. And so Jane Daniels knows their condition of winning this game is a Hail Mary pass. And at that point, the coaches are all aware of it too. So it really comes down to like the the defense gave them an opportunity, and it's not like a likely opportunity. At this point,
Yeah.
this is the most unlikely opportunity that people can have, short of like a punt return or a kick return, you know. And so like this chance for a touchdown is such a small chance, but it's very likely. All people are aware of it, and they weren't able to stop it,
Yep.
you know. And I think that leads into what you're saying is don't even give them the chance for that at that
Right.
end of the game, you know, like don't leave that hope for them, because why? Like, why would you even give them that opportunity?
Right. Yep. I totally agree with that. So, but it happened, and I feel bad for the Bears fans because the Bears were down in that game 12-0.
Yeah.
We came back and took a 15-12 lead. And I'm like,
Right.
and this is a matchup between the number 1, number 2 overall pick, Caleb Williams versus Jaden Daniels. So had a little bit more to that than just two teams. It was number 1 versus number 2. And I don't know if you get a chance, but if you get a chance, check out the Caleb Williams reaction to that. He was not happy, and I know
Yeah.
emotions run wild. Excuse me, but yeah, he was not happy with what happened there. So yeah,
No, I mean, like you said, if you're trying to compare the first and second place rookies to another, and then one of those players in the game against the other one throws a bomb Hail Mary that makes exactly what they needed to happen,
yeah, yeah,
you know, it's a pretty clear line of somebody took the cake right there. Somebody
yeah,
took that W that week, and there wasn't anything you could do about it.
yeah. That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Um, moving on to our beloved Detroit Lions. Now,
Hmm.
interesting. The Lions scored 52 points in 3 quarters and had, I believe, 225 total yards. There was a stat that I saw. It is the most points scored with the least amount of yards scored in NFL history, or
Right.
most number of points scored, number of yards gained in NFL history. Now, we got some awesome kick returns, one of them for a touchdown. We
Hmm.
had 4 turnovers that we got from Tennessee, and which gave us short fields. So it was not a lot of yards to be gained for the offense. So
Right.
you can sit here and say the offense did not perform very well, but they actually performed very well. But the team, just in general, just knocked out of the park. So my question to you, Paul, without being the Detroit Lions homer and the homeboys that we are here,
Sure. Right.
are
Yeah, I'll
the
try.
Lions are the Lions the best team in the NFL?
Oh, honestly, I would put them in top 3 right now. Even considering that I'm a very biased like person, I would put them in top 3. Um, I think that the Vikings top contenders out there right now.
Really?
I think
Really?
that they have so many good strengths going behind them that I think that like they're consistent, they're explosive, and when they need to, they can just pull out the clutch factor too. So I think that like the Ravens, or sorry, not the Ravens, the the Ravens are also one of the good ones in my eyes. But yeah, the Vikings are definitely up there. And
Oh,
then
the
you have
Chiefs?
the Commanders.
The
I
Chiefs?
think I think the Chiefs are overrated right now, and I think that we've talked about it. Like, don't get me
Yeah,
wrong, they're 7-0, and they are just continuing to win these games through whatever means they can. But it seems to me when push comes to shove in the championship games, like they might make it through the playoffs. I don't think I could go against that. I wouldn't doubt that at all right now. But when it gets into the playoffs, I don't see them winning it. I don't see them having that X factor, that clutch thing that I was talking about before. I don't think they have the explosiveness to win. I think that they're smart. Their coach is damn good at spreading out points and spreading out
yeah,
his threatening ability on the field. Like he's amazing at that. But I don't think that they have that explosive power. Like I don't think they have the consistency and the field control, for example, that Detroit has right now when they're playing.
yeah,
And that's something that I think the Vikings have too, is that ability to just like own the field when they're on it. And I think the Detroit Lions have that 100%. Commanders are also leaning that direction too. And I think that those would be my top 3 right now.
okay. Yeah, the Chiefs. I'm not a Mahomes lover. I'm not a Mahomes hater. I'm just kind of maybe tired of Mahomes, tired of the Chiefs in general.
Hmm.
Uh, And Mahomes is not performing well. Even on the
Right.
exchange, his price is still under $80,
I
which
know.
is well below average. But I was like, their defense just rises to the occasion. They just
Yeah.
got a trade. They got DeAndre Hopkins from Tennessee. So they do have another receiver out there to go with Mahomes, but they're not they're not super flashy anymore. Mahomes is not the dynamic QB anymore that he used to be. Uh,
No.
but their defense is keeping the game and game in the game. There's a sample last week where the Chiefs threw an interception in their own 20-yard line. In fact, I think the Niners returned down like the 7 or 8, and the Niners go 4 and out. They didn't get a field goal off it. They just tried 4 and out and stopped them. And I was like, okay, that defense is playing really well. So,
Mhm.
but I do think Minnesota is good. They ran into a buzzsaw with the Rams, who getting Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp back. So
Right.
when you get Matt Stafford, that kind of weapons, healthy weapons, then they're going to be
Oh
good.
yeah.
So the Vikings
I'm
were in
glad,
a bad spot.
I'm glad Stafford did well that week. I think
Yeah.
that um man, they just had that slump for a little while, and I think that they were better than that slump. And it definitely mattered with Cooper Kupp. I think that he ended up being one of the most pivotal players on their offense, at least. When Matt Stafford is there to utilize him.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to ask you for any kind of other observations you may have, but I'm looking at Tua Tagovailoa is back and Bryce Young is back. So Miami has
Yeah.
Tua back. It's probably too late. And then Bryce Young, is there anything there at all? So, talk about Miami and/or Carolina or anything else you want to chat about Week 8.
Um. So so Miami. I think that this is interesting because I personally have a lot of underdog love for Miami, and I had a lot of love for Tua, especially going into the season. And so I think that I'm glad that he came back. I'm glad that they put up good numbers this last week. I'm excited to see them kind of getting back in a groove that's definitely not the downhill slide that they were on
Right.
previously. So that's cool. Like I have Devon Achan in my ESPN league. So hell yeah, I want to see Achan doing well again. But I'm just so cautious at this point with the ability of Tua to stay in there and the ability of the Dolphins to be able to um, push through their adversities. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think they're going to make playoffs by any means. I don't think that that's even like a contention thing really at this point. I think that it's more so of being like, are they going to be above their pay grade or are they going to be performing below their current expectations that people have for them? And I think that that really just depends on, I hate to say it, depends on Tua. It depends on his healthiness and his ability to stay in the game and kind of do what he was trying to do at the beginning of the season before he kind of, concussion number 4 kicked in or whatever that was.
Right. Okay.
So we'll see. I think that the Dolphins got a lot of potential, but I would say I'm cautiously optimistic right there. With the Jaguars, I will say I want to quickly talk about the
Panthers.
Jaguars or
Panthers.
Panthers.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
specifically the Jaguars.
okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
because they're also an underdog. I don't know. The Panthers are at this point. I'm still kind of like checked out when it comes to the Panthers. But
Okay.
the
Sorry.
Jaguars had some like signs of life that I was excited about to see last week. So we'll see if they can kind of continue this moving forward. Who was it? Tank Bigsby or someone that was doing some good stuff last
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Of course, you had who's their tight end, Evan Ingram,
Ingram.
and Ingram's popping off a little bit, and that's just cool to see a tight end finally doing well. So
Yeah.
I'd like to see some signs of life over there, and we'll see if they can kind of do better than what they've been set to do. But I'd say that's like my underdog take here for the last week.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I kind of went with you with Miami. I think Miami is out of it now. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Offensively, they have skills and players, but it's just when you're playing in the same division as Buffalo, it's tough to win that division. And Buffalo surprising me this year. And I think that Miami's doesn't have a chance. So, and then Carolina, whatever, just move on
Right.
from that. I can always say more time talking about Carolina. They're just terrible. And they just traded away their receiver, Deontay Johnson, just not half hour ago to Baltimore
Oh, did
Ravens.
they, for
So
what? For who?
Deontay Johnson is now for Baltimore.
What did they get for it? Why would they
I,
do that?
well, if I
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, who knows?
yeah,
Probably
it's
not
up
enough
there.
to save their team, to be fair.
No, I'm sure it's a draft pick they can go ahead and build upon. But
Right, right.
yeah. So, all right, Paul, let's get to our games of the week. I'll let you go first. So, who do you have for
All
your
right.
game of the week?
Yeah, game of the week coming up here first. I'm gonna be the homer, and I'm leaning into the Lions versus the Packers.
It's
What
an
I'm
awesome
gonna
game.
think of as that whole little Thanksgiving special, a little early this year.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know, man. We got that 6-1 versus 6-2 with the Lions versus the Packers. Obviously, even scores. Two teams that have been, in my eyes, rivals for a long time, and they've also were on a similar trajectory at the beginning of the season. Everyone was talking about, Green Bay Packers going to be surpassing Detroit. Detroit not going to be letting it happen. I was going into it this whole season believing Detroit's going to win, and I don't see that changing. I still think that Detroit's going to have, even if they were to lose this game, which I don't expect, but even if they do, I think that they're going to come out on top over the Packers at the end of the season, one way or the other. So I personally would be very surprised if the Packers were to come out and win this one. I'd be very surprised if the Packers can pull out a victory against Detroit. I think that they have been on fire, and I just want to see some blood here. I want to see Lions win. I want to see all of that good Homer love right now for me.
Well, I second. First of all, I second that. As I mentioned many times in the show, that I'm not a Packer fan whatsoever. The Lions went into Lambeau in 2022 and famously made Aaron Rodgers lose his last game at home. And then last year we went to Lambeau and we won it again. So we have a 2-game win streak. And this offense is amazing. I mean, I won't rattle off all the names. I am concerned with having JMO out for one more game, serving his second game of a 2-game suspension.
Mm-hmm.
But Khalif Raymond, man, he was a big player last week. Got his own touchdown. He got a punt return for touchdown. So the Lions have offense, and that we understand that, and the defense is coming through. You got Branch and Joseph on the safeties that are just amazing. So I'm looking forward to another win here. And Jordan Love's got a little bit of a slight groin pull. So whether he's playing or not is up in the air. And then they got Malik Willis, and he runs well. But I guess we'll see how it goes. But I'm looking forward to another Lions W in Lambeau.
So just question here quickly. I know Jordan Love got like 16.7 points or something this last week in the EFFL. Do you mind checking to see what not Jalen Hurts. Wow. Why can I not think of the Detroit quarterback?
Jared Goff?
Yeah, Jared Goff. Do you mind checking what Goff's score was last week? Because I also know Jahmyr Gibbs performed real well, but I imagine we should probably compare quarterback to quarterback if we're going to do it.
Well, Jared, I don't know who played Jared Goff, so I don't know. I got to find somebody who played him without going to actual math. But he didn't have very good stats. He did get 3 touchdowns, which is nice. So there's 18 points.
Okay.
But he only had 200 yards. No, that's than that. He had 85 yards passing. It was his lowest.
Oh, wow.
Production ever. So
definitely.
Yeah, he didn't get a lot of points. So without going through it and finding out, he didn't get many points.
Right. Well, either way, I think that it's definitely above the Jordan Love thing that he performed at last week. It definitely was not very great. And so going in from last week's perspective, I see the trend of the Lions doing better, and I don't think they're going to drop this ball.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see.
I love that. And then my pick is going to be the only other game this week that has 2 teams over 500 is Denver, shocking me. At 5-3, playing at Baltimore 5-3, and I just mentioned Baltimore got Deontay Johnson for a receiver. So Denver's got a phenomenal defense. Their defense is top notch, and the Baltimore passing defense is not very good. So there might be potential for some high scoring here because no matter how good Denver's defense is, you got Lamar Jackson, you got Derrick Henry, and now Deontay Johnson and Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews. Isaiah Likely, a lot of names on offense. So it could
Right.
be a kind of fun game out there in there. I just and the Ravens lost. The Ravens lost to the Browns on the road this past weekend. So I think they're going to come back home and they're going to rebound. So I see Baltimore winning pretty handily. I just don't think Denver's defense can match up with all those weapons across the board.
Right. Right.
In fact, I would probably put Baltimore's offense only on second versus the Lions' offense as far as of skills across the board. So
I
I
know.
would pick Baltimore to win that game.
Something that I was going to mention earlier when we were talking about the best teams in the league, the Ravens had like slipped into my brain because their offensive weapons are just so strong, and it's hard that any team is going to be able to lock down their threats as a whole. Like, even if you're good on defense on your passing game, or even if you're good on your rushing game, like you just don't know if you're going to be able to stop them from being able to do what they want to
Right.
do on the
Right.
field at any point in time. So it's just hard. It's hard to say against the Ravens if anyone's going to do well. At least we do know that like the Broncos have a good contending chance to go into it, and I think that that's going to be a close game. If it's a high scoring game, I would love to see it. Hopefully, it's a high scoring game because I think that both offenses have been doing damn good recently, and I think that the Ravens especially
Yep.
have that struggle on their defensive end. So I don't know what they're going to be able to do to stop the Broncos from scoring. So I expect that to be a high scoring game, but ultimately, I have no idea. It's going to be a tight one, so it really comes down to the way that it starts to play out. I can't really know for sure now.
Right. Okay. Well, looking forward to all that. So, with that being said, Paul, go ahead and roll that outro music. And
Oh,
right above my head, you'll see all those icons. We want you to like, comment, subscribe. As you say, Paul, ring that bell, right?
absolutely. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it. If you're listening to us almost an hour into the show, thank you. We appreciate you. And what's wrong with you? That being said, please check out extremeFFL.com. And we have the league and we have the exchange. We didn't discuss exchange today much at all, but it's out there still. I am
Oh,
not doing as well on that as I was. I took a little beating on a couple of guys recently. So, oh well. We'll see how
okay. It
that
went well for me this last week. Actually, I got another 100 on my account, so that's good there.
Nice. Good job, bro. So,
Yeah, yeah.
all right. Well, as we always say on this podcast here, that when life gives you a chance, you make it happen. So, Pablo, peace out. And to everybody else, thank you. Bye. All right. And recording.